Okay. Yeah. So going to move, and then we are going to shape that interior of the mouth. And pull this down a little bit down the back of the throat, so he has an esophagus. There we go. All right, I'm running a Dynamesh, and then I'm actually going to build this up right here just to cut through the lip line, since I did kind of leave that a little separated when I was sculpting. So I'm going to do clay build up. Let's divide that a couple of times. I'll make sure. There we go. Got enough faces to actually do this. Smooth it out. There you go. Feels like he's got a very wide tongue, and he's going to give you a raspberry. What? No, I said very wide tongue. He's got some very bad tonsils if they're sticking out of his mouth. I'm like, dude, you need to go to a doctor. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and hit live boolean. Otherwise, we won't actually see anything. And then go ahead and hit subtract right there. And now we got a proxy for the interior of our mouth. All right. So I'm going to stick with that for the moment. All right, eyeballs. That's a little terrifying to look at. So with his eyes, the eye sockets don't have to be as deep as the actual eyeballs. So like this topology here could be a little weird and cause some issues. So what I'm going to do is just doing a pinned. Carlos, you okay? Okay. I'm just going to go make some extra proxy eyes. And I think as great as it would be for him to be a Cyclops, I just can't do Cyclops. He's not from Sonic the Hedgehog. All right, let's turn these off. We'll turn this one on. Okay. Okay. And then we'll do geometry, modify topology, mirror and weld. And you see that one actually made it disappear. I need to flip that over. Because it's reading it from this side and flipping it over. So let's just go to deformation, mirror. So we're just preemptively flipping this over. The mirror weld again. There we go. Now we're good. Okay. still cutting through just a little too much. So let's move this just a little bit smaller. Here in Weld. Really wants to cut through. Okay, let's try this. Take the move brush. Okay, here in Weld. Okay, there we go. Now we got my sockets. Functionally speaking, again, it's not going to really break anything if there is a hole through the two sockets. I'm just thinking of it from retopologization. We're gonna have to manually go in and retopo all of this. So having that hole right there would make things just a little bit more difficult to deal with. So I'm just trying to simplify things ahead of time. All right. So we got that. I think that's actually all the holes we need to go ahead and cut. So why don't we go ahead and turn off the hair. I think that'll work. And I'm going to go and run a boolean. We should have our extra mesh right here. So guys, remember, when we're running booleans, you have to actually click make boolean mesh, and that boolean mesh is going to show up here in the Z tools. So you have to actually go to that one. Otherwise, you didn't actually run the boolean.
When you click on that arrow on the left.
Mm-hmm. Arrow on the left where?
The left.
What are we talking about? What arrow on the left? I mean the thing that says make boolean mesh? Yes. Yes, you have to click that in order to actually make it. Otherwise, you're just looking at a preview. So you have to do it. Yeah.
Do you want to make sure that the eyes and hair are off when you're doing the
Yes. Remember, otherwise, if it's visible, it's possibly going to get calculated in and it may get glued into your face.
The ears can be attached.
Ears should be attached because they're, I mean, you pull on your ears, they're not going to come out, right? So, I mean, hopefully not, unless they're maybe like a prosthetic or you're made out of Play-Doh. So. All right. So we got him situated with cavities now. Let's go ahead and throw in some actual eyeballs that we're going to use. Hit insert. Let's do IMM primitives sphere. And make sure we got symmetry turned on. Seducting them just a little bit. And then I'm going to go to split. Split right here under subtool, split unmask points. So the eyes become their own subtool, and then the rest of the body is by itself. The mouth right here, and a little bit of a crispness to the lip. I'm actually just gonna smooth it out just a little bit. Now this topology is kind of wonky, so it would be a pretty good idea to go ahead and run a Dynamesh or a ZRemesh at this point, since we did make a fairly good sized change to the topology of the model. I think honestly a ZRemesh is going to be just fine for what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and run it. Take a look at that topology. Should clean this up. And actually, a ZRemesh might be better for the mouth area since we have some really thin spots. That Dynamesh may have a tendency to create little holes and little gaps and stuff. So I might actually just suggest a ZRemesh more. I'm going to up that polygon count, run it again at 155,000 faces. So we just went down to 18,000. Want to get a little bit more. Well, you know what? No, that's fine. That'll work. We can work with this. There. I'll subdivide that. Zoom them out. What are we doing here? Okay. What do I hit when I run into this problem right here? I got a little duplicate sitting on here. What's the hotkey to clear out my canvas? You guys remember this? Control N, that's right. It was freaking out because I accidentally clicked on the mesh with an insert mesh brush with subdivision levels. So that's the reason why it was freaking out on me. Should be good now. Okay.
Is it N or M?
N is in clear the canvas. Canvas. There's an N. I don't know. I'm trying to make it work. It's not working.
N as Nick.
N is a Nick who clears his canvas by holding down Control N. All right. With the mouth, let's go and close it up a little bit. Gonna move topological. Little corner right there is getting a little difficult, so I'm just going to mask it out, and then bring it up, and then over right there. Just smooth it out, and now we got a nice little gentle smile. Let's do some teeth and gums real quick. So let's start off with let's do a sphere. Okay. All right, so same idea. Last time we did this, except this time I'm definitely not going to be making 32 teeth. Let's Dynamesh it. So I'm just going to kind of fold over this piece of clay. and then run a Dynamesh every once in a while. And then smooth it. And I'll make sure we make it about as wide as his mouth actually is. Let's go ahead and take this new piece. I'm gonna go and put it in its own folder. So I'm gonna click new folder, call gums. And then in this folder, we're gonna do an append, do a cylinder, drop that cylinder in the folder. And then I'm gonna switch over to that cylinder. And we're just gonna use that to cut the hole in the back of the throat, or back of the gums, I should say. Okay. So I think that'll work for just grabbing that hole. Pull in the folder. And here is the new piece. Dynamesh on that, and we're going to smooth that out. Turning back on our symmetry. Okay. Any questions so far? Everybody good? And we have questions about the leaning or how I made the gums or the eye sockets, anything like that?
It's just, how do you make the mouth again?
So the mouth itself was just a sphere that I stuck inside the mouth. And then using baleens, I just retracted that out. With that sphere, I brought out a little thin line right between the lip line. And so that created that opening in between the lips. After that baleen was done, then I zero meshed the model. And then used move topological to gently close the mouth. So the lips are just not kind of just gently, touching each other. And that's it. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Let's go and let's do our little Mylanta commercial and throw in a cube. And then look at half of the head so we can get a good placement for the gums. There we go. Maybe a little bit big, so I'm gonna shrink them down. Somewhere probably right about there, I think would fit pretty well. I think I am gonna run a little mask, just to mask off this top part. And the reason why is because I'm gonna take this and actually just fill in that bottom part. So when you look at it from, say, the side, or basically from the inside, it actually fills up the entire mouth. And then turn off symmetry. I'm gonna center that. You can see, like, right here, it looks like it's we got a bit of a gap on the sides. So I want to just kind of stretch that out just a little bit more. There we go. So kind of see where it starts to like cut through. I think that'll look good. Yeah, okay. So I'm just basically just scaling this to where it actually fits the inside of the mouth. Okay. So it cuts, it was like has a tiny little Gomez mustache. All right, let's push that in. Just push it back in. You get back in there. Turn back on symmetry. Actually, push that back in the face. Push it back in the sides. Smooth that out. All right, cool. I'm gonna go ahead and run a ZRemesh on this one. Looks good. Let's actually go a little bit lower. I don't want it at 10,000 faces. 3,000 will work. All right, now I need some teeth. Let's turn him off. And then we'll just have the gums. All right. I'd say he has an ice cream bar for a tooth. Just one giant tooth across the front. So I think that's what we'll create. So I'm gonna go and take, let's do a cube. I'm gonna append a cube. Shrink it down. Going to move it up towards the gums. Let's make it real thin. Okay. So I need to make this brick fit the profile of the gums. How could I do that? Arc? Let's try it. Someone do a bend arc. I have my angle right here. Let's try a different axis. Yeah, I'd say that probably will work. So let's try this. I think I need to get it just a little bit wider. Maybe just a little bit thinner. And then let's go back to arc bend. That's pretty close. It's pretty close. Let's see, maybe if we can play with the radius here. That's real close. That almost will work. Actually, I think it will work. I think we can use that. I'm gonna go click here, accept it. And then I need to get this part back here. So the way I'm gonna do that is mask off the front part. So you'll see just these back faces are unmasked. And I'm just gonna move them back. Let's turn on symmetry. Then move them out. Pretty polygonal right there. So I think I need to smooth that out a little bit. Just go to geometry, divide, 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 divide. I think that'll work. Delete lower. I don't feel like these teeth need to be 126,000 faces. Actually, let's smooth this real quick. So I'm gonna go and run a ZRemesh so I can keep that smoothness, but get rid of probably 100,000 faces. One of my kind of key approaches here is we know we're going to be rigging this project, right? Like that's the point. We're going to be doing this. So in order to achieve that, we're going to have to retopologize this model, which means we need to simplify and have a lower resolution with decent topology. And so if I can do that in any automatic way, I'm going to try to do that as I'm sculpting this. So ZRemeshing will give us better topology than Dynameshing does. It'll let us achieve the shapes we're trying to achieve without having 100,000 faces. So I'm going to try to run that relatively often just so I can try to get around having to create or having to have such heavy, dense meshes. So I definitely keep this in mind as you're sculpting. Think about how you can keep that poly count down, how you can try to automate some of these features or some of this stuff. Next week, when we go into retopology, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. Just because manual retopologization just takes quite a long time for what you're doing. So anything you can do to kind of optimize it is good. It's really good. All right, even 12,000 faces, I think is honestly just too much. So I'm gonna do a ZRemesh again. I have half turned on. 7,000 still too much. I think honestly, maybe like 1,000 faces. Okay, 2,000, 2,600 faces. So here's, honestly, I mean, like, look at this, like this shape right here, 2,600 faces, looks pretty much identical to 12,000 faces. There's not really much difference here. Detail wise, it's literally just a bar. That's all it is. All right. I need a lower set of teeth. So I'm going to go and take the subtool. I'm going to duplicate it. There we go. Lower set of teeth. Just very slightly scale them in. Move them up. So they kind of grab into each other. And I think that'll work. Let's see what this looks like with a little bit of clay polish turned on. That looks good. Gotta make sure you polish your teeth. There we go. I feel like this is not as terrifying as like what, 2 weeks ago when we were making like a set of dentures and you just saw every single tooth in there. Yeah, it's not as terrifying, maybe. I'm not a huge fan of seeing the back end here kind of rounded off. I'm going to slice it off and extend back just a little bit. Let's cut that. Same thing here. Remember, Control Shift. I'm doing a knife rectangle. Mask this off. Extend back. And then do the same thing here. Mask and extend back. And then run that zero mesh one more time. Okay, better. I like that. All right, let's go and put that back in his head. Where's that body? There we go. Cool. Now we have teeth. Any questions on that? That's good.
About the eyes.
What about the eyes?
So in like the art style we're doing, the eyes are touching. Can they be touching in the model or no?
Touching, like
Like they're literally, the eyeballs are touching.
if they can touch.
Okay, because I thought like, I think last lecture you said they couldn't touch or. They can touch them, they just can't be connected.
Yeah, the issue I was running into was by me doing a mirror and weld, it mirrored it over, and because there was intersecting faces, it welded them together. So that's the reason why I created two separate eyeballs, because they need to freely rotate. So as long as the eyeballs are not one piece, then you're good.
Okay.
Okay. And in fact, the geometry for like these eyes here, these guys are touching in the back of the skull, but we're never going to see that. Again, these are individual pieces of geometry, so it's okay if they touch. But if you like run a Dynamesh, then they're going to be like and just be stuck together. All right. Okay. All right, my pupils are tiny little dots. Let's make some tiny little dots. All right. Those will be my pupils. So I just masked off the most front part of those eyeballs. I subdivided them quite a bit. I'm going to reverse that mask, hit move, make sure my doohickey is facing forward. Well, there we go. And then shook. All right, there's his pupils.
What if our peoples aren't perfect circles?
Like Rick and Morty. Then you would take your mask, you would paint that weird little squiggly, whatever the hell they call it, and then you would shove it right back in their eyeball. Which I don't know why they call it, why they did that, but I really like that shape.
Yeah.
It's a fun shape.
Really cool. It goes with the art style.
It does.
Yeah, it's fairly easy to draw too. I was just like, oh. that's
Yeah.
easy.
And then like when they're like perplexed or confused and they got like the limp lips,
Yeah.
I think that's just, I love that expression. It's hilarious. All right. I got a little bit of crap going on here since I pushed it back. I'm not going to do a Dynamesh because remember they're touching. So let's do a zero mesh. That's my other option. Have you seen their spinoff?
I've seen like snippets of it, like not all the way.
It's really funny.
I was more focused on the side part. With like the people in the wall.
Yeah.
I was like, that's where the drama was.
It's yeah, it gets like real Animal Farmy in there. It's super weird. Okay. Let's divide that and see if we can kind of clean this up a little bit. Clay polish. Okay, there we go. That's what I'm looking for. Sweet.
So one makes a good study, but rotating geometry, like a little bits.
Not with little bits poking out. It's a way that I'm using to kind of clean up the unevenness of that circle. So like that's the reason why I'm using clay polish right there. If you have little bits and pieces poking out, I probably would just try to strategically smooth and try to like just flatten it out there, or you could polish it. You can always try clay polish. There's no harm in trying it, see if that helps.
So we recommended that like it's like a little bits of like small pieces of geometry like floating.
No, if you have little pieces that are floating, I would go to split to parts. The downside is you're going to get like a whole bunch of subtools because each little face becomes its own subtool, but you can easily delete the stuff you don't need then. So that'd be the way to get rid of that stuff. And then probably run it close holes because there's probably something that got deleted. I just realized he can't actually see past his own nose. That poor guy. Okay. Let's give him some eyebrows. So we have, how many ways can we make eyebrows?
Asking.
Yeah, let's brainstorm here. What are some different ways we can create eyebrows?
Use a sphere and shape them out.
You could take a sphere, shape them, and then what? Then run a Dynamesh. You wouldn't want them to be a part of the skull though. The eyebrows, like the hair, need to be like separate pieces, but you're on the right track there. What else you got?
You could upend and then sphere.
Append sphere.
Yeah, and then shape it, and then it'll be in a separate subtool.
Okay, yes. Any other thoughts?
Extract,
Extract, how would you extract?
by masking it.
So we would paint,
Yeah, and then click extract.
okay. Any other thoughts? We got more options.
Clay building?
We want them to be separate. So think about it that way. We want these to be separate pieces of geometry.
Like cutting into the forehead, I guess.
Cutting into the forehead to make an eyebrow?
Maybe, no.
Let's look here and see what kind of tools we have or brushes we have that we can add stuff on. If we're going to be adding geometry on with a brush, what is that generally going to be referred to as? Well, we have specifically a class of brushes that we can use. So we have these IMM primitives, IMM parts, IMM model kit. They stand for insert multi-meshes. So we could use an insert multi-mesh, kind of what you guys are talking about, by inserting a sphere and shaping that. We also have the curve brushes, which kind of do the same thing. But we have curve multi-tubes, curve quad fills, curve alphas. But I'm thinking we could make a eyebrow with curve, just regular old curve tube. Guessing this will work? Anyone doubt? Press X for doubt. All right, let's see if this will work. Why didn't that work?
So yeah, that's why I put this.
Huh?
That's why I put this.
Why do you doubt my powers though? Why do you doubt my Jedi abilities? I mean, you're right to, because it didn't work. So like, why didn't it work? It says it.
Oh, this is subdivision.
Yeah, I got subdivisions. So let's deal with the subdivisions. I kind of like having my subdivisions, to be honest. So I need to work around to get rid of my subdivisions, but also still keep them. So one option is you can do freeze subdivision levels. And that will keep your subdivisions, but it will basically freeze them and treat them like you don't have any. So this is what I'm thinking. Use the curve tube to create eyebrows. Because really his eyebrows are just little tubes anyway. So he's got little furry caterpillars on his head. He does have Cheetos. I ate very stale Cheetos on the way up to work today, and those are gross. Don't ever eat. All right, I'm gonna go under stroke. I'm gonna go snap. And I'm gonna do lock start, lock end. And the reason why is because that will allow me to basically append this to the surface. And it gives me a little bit more controllability. If we look at his artwork, I mean, they're basically just little, literally cheese poofs. I'm gonna go to stroke. And let's do curve modifiers, turn on size, curve fall off. And you'll see that it changed the shape of the curve to really thin on the beginning, really thick on the end. You'll see here, this little curve ramp. If I change the ramp, I can change the size of the stroke. So it's fat in the middle, thin on the ends. Fat in the middle, thin on the ends.
What do we do if our eyebrows are literally just like a line? Yeah, it's a line.
Then make a line.
Really,
A really thin curve, I guess.
like,
I mean, do female characters have eyebrows in the show?
Yeah, but they're really, really like.
it's just a line.
They're super well trimmed and like tapered and
Okay.
whatever you call that.
Not make sense for eyebrows.
Yeah.
Can you show us one more time how to do that?
So curved tube. You're just gonna draw on the surface. That's basically it. But the stroke, having size turned on under curve modifiers, that's gonna allow you to change the profile of the stroke itself. So you can make it as complicated in the shape as you want. Again, stroke, curve modifiers. And then if I'm happy, and I know it, clap your hands. Yeah, and then just tap on your mesh and it will release the curve. And then you have your eyebrow there. Now I want this to be a separate subtool. Remember, but we basically just inserted a mesh. So I'm gonna go to split, unmask parts, and now the eyebrow is a separate subtool from the rest of the head. And I'm never gonna have to worry about accidentally Dynameshing this thing into the head. Although let's be honest, at this point, if you Dynamesh your head after you've already closed the mouth, well, you're gonna have some hard times ahead. All right, so the eyebrows, let's get back to them. I still need to sculpt them just a little bit. I'm gonna smooth them by going under divide. And then I'm just gonna smooth basically the tips right here. And actually, let's run a ZRemesh on these guys. Because the little caps on them are getting a little pinchy. Okay. So I want to be able to smooth them a little bit better. All right. There are his eyebrows. Although I will say in the artwork, they're a little bit fatter. So maybe we should go a little fatter with these. What brush can I use to fatten up a piece of mesh? Inflate. So let's look for inflate. Okay, I think that'll work. Run Dynamesh, or not Dynamesh, ZRemesh. And because this is getting a little lumpy, so I just want to smooth this out. Perfect. Okay. It's got some big bushy eyebrows. All right. For the hair, let's go ahead and work with hair. I'm gonna go and Dynamesh the hair. Let's smooth this out. I don't know why, but I feel like you need some sideburns. Okay. Let's see, what kind of, do we have any detail for his hair? It's pretty basic. I'm gonna go with the rake brush. Z add, I'm gonna go real light with it. I think I need some more faces. Let's subdivide a couple times, 500,000. Oh yeah. So I think this is a little heavy on detail, but when I do a clay polish on it, I think it'll clean it up really nicely. At least that's what I'm hoping. Got this big old rooster tail. Right there. And then I'm gonna grab the spiral. Where's that spiral? There it is. I'm gonna do a little pearl or something right in here. And maybe not. Okay. Let's try a little clay polish here and see if it kind of tightens it up. Yeah, that kinda works. I kind of like that. Kind of simplifies it, but we still got enough of that detail in there. Go a little bit more. So I do want a little bit of a breakup right along that scalp line. So it's not just a continuously straight. Let's leave that. Okay, that'll work. Okay. Moving. So let's go ahead and do his. We'll go and do his sweater first. Let's go to extract. Extract, and I think that'll work. Click accept. We have our own new piece of geometry here. Yeah.
So what if they have like double their clothes on like a shirt and then like a jacket on?
Say what?
I'm saying that as like a double set of clothing on top of each other.
So he kind of does. I would just do multiple extractions and then just basically sculpt to sit on top of each other. So like I might do like the vest, extract out the vest, and then I might do another extractions for the jacket and then just kind of like bring it out and use the move brush basically to move it out on top of like the vest or a shirt.
Okay, that was a good shirt. Yeah, I was a good shirt. I was abstraction on top of abstraction.
Well, you're not extracting like anything on top of this, but like for his undershirt, I'm going to extract out like this region. And then you'll have that underneath it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hmm. You guys want to see some dynamics? Okay. So this is mainly for doing like draping clothing on top of a character. On here, this really works better when you have a very simplified mesh that's being like draped. So the less faces, honestly, the better. The more faces, it's going to give your computer a little bit of a harder time. All right, so just be aware of that. This is probably not going to be applicable for all of you guys or even half of you guys. For his clothing, I honestly don't even think this is even needed. I just want to demo it for you guys so you know it's here. Basically, I'm going to need to simplify out this shirt a bit more so it'll actually drape a little bit better for me. So what I'm gonna do is gonna take the shirt. Let's go. And I need to actually take out, since this is a double thickness, I need to actually simplify it and like remove out that interior thickness. So I'm gonna go and take this piece right here. See how we have a different poly group for that bottom edge of the shirt. I'm actually going to need to delete that so I can delete out the inside of the shirt. So I'm going to go to Zmodeler, and I don't know if I've talked to you guys about Zmodeler before, but this is a brush that allows me to essentially poly model inside of ZBrush. So if you like poly modeling like in Maya, you can do it also in ZBrush. And this is how I do like probably 100% of my poly modeling. I don't ever poly model in Maya anymore, to be honest. All right, so I need to actually delete this poly group. So I'm gonna put my mouse on top of the face here, right click, and I'm gonna go to delete. You'll see it says polygon actions, delete, and I'm gonna do poly group all. So it's gonna delete everything that's associated with this poly group. So you'll see it deleted that. We're gonna check and see if the sleeves, it should be the same poly group that was created. That should be deleted, and this should be deleted. Okay. I'm gonna go to the subtool, split the parts. And you'll see we have two, what look like basically identical pieces to this mesh, but you'll notice that this one right here is a little bit thinner. That's actually the interior of the shirt. Since we had a thickness when we did that extraction, I'm just gonna take this guy and delete him. So now I got a single thickness shirt. Let's simplify the mesh a little bit. I'm gonna go to Z-Remesher. Right now I'm sitting at 24,000 faces. Let's see if we can knock that down to like 10,000. 9,000. Yeah, that'll work. All right. Open this back up. This is the dynamics panel. I just copied it over from here. So you can always just click this little button and it'll pop it over into your side view or side panel. Underneath here, let's see. I need to make sure I have gravity turned on. Whatever you're selecting the subtool is, that's going to be what is actually dynamic. I need to basically tell this that I want to figure out what the collision is going to be. So collision volume, I'm going to activate it. It's going to calculate it, whatever other subtools are turned on, that is what it's going to collide against. So I need the body, the hair and the eyes and the teeth and all that. It's not going to actually touch those, so I'm not going to worry about them. And then I'm going to go ahead and, if you make any changes to the collision volume, make sure you hit recalculate. We're going to click on run simulation. You'll see that it'll start simulating. And then you turn it off, and then that's the simulation. Now, kind of looks like he's wearing a night dress, right? Or a night shirt. So we can go into gravity strength. Turn that down. It was sitting at 10 before. Run simulation again. Turn it off. And you'll see that it kind of drapes over him and like sits a little bit further down on top of him. So the idea is mainly we're just trying to get this piece of clothing to really drape more on him rather than actually like form or anything like that. So if you let it run indefinitely, it's just going to melt off of his body. Yeah.
What button did you click? You right click body bottom of the poly groups to remove that section of the shirt.
Yeah, that was this brush called Zmodeler. And so if you right click, depending on what you're selecting, edge, point, and face, they give you different options. So you got to make sure you're actually looking at the right one. I was doing a face, and it was a delete action on whatever, on basically just polygroup all, I think is what I selected. Okay. So again, this isn't something that you have to do. I'm just showing it to you just because it's there. And usually I get a question about it every now and then. What else?
What would you do if you guys do away your clothing?
Isn't that the question he just asked? About like sculpting dual layer clothing?
Oh, yeah.
Are you asking about like how, like if you could run dynamics on it?
Like running a simulation on top of the one that's already been simulated.
Yeah, you could do that. You would basically run it from like the most interior piece of clothing outwards. So if you had a shirt, then you'd run that simulation on the shirt, and then you would make the next piece of clothing because it would be a little bit bigger, and then run simulation on that, and then run simulation on that. You would just keep stacking them essentially. Yeah, that's what you would do. You do have options for contract. So if you have something that needs to be tight to the body, then you can turn on contract. You have a contraction amount. So we can turn on contract. You'll see it start shrinking. Yeah, actually, this is a really good way to get like skinny clothing on on people and get those like folds and stretches and places that might be a little bit difficult to create. That's exactly what it could work for. If you're doing a dress, this is a really wonderful way to get that dress to flow naturally onto the body.
When you did the dress, you had expand.
It's going to naturally expand. I mean, if you do expand, this is what it'll do.
To make it.
It's just going to keep like stretching out and out and out.
What was it that you pressed that made it like before?
Contract,
Oh, that's what you did?
contract shrinks,
No,
expand.
The one that you made that looked like he was wearing a dress.
I just ran it.
Oh, you just ran it?
I just ran it, yeah.
To make the shirt, you run a max, a shadow, or
A what?
you, to make the shirt, you created a shadow, or.
You mean a mask,
a
right?
mask?
Yeah, yeah, a mask. Sorry. Yes, did the mask, I did the extraction, and then I went from there. By the way, I'm recording this, so you guys can watch this if you get lost, okay?
I was watching a video source that from years back.
Yeah. Is that it? Carlos, did you have a comment about what you're watching? Or a question?
And the run simulation, you stretch it out.
Yes, yeah, it just drapes on the body. So if you want him to wear a shirt that's like way too big, then expand will do it for you. Inflate. Basically, we'll inflate the shirt.
So all this is just self-explanatory.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, you would think it's self-explanatory, but I'll still get questions about like, what does inflate do? It inflates. I mean, you know, I see smiles, but like, I still get questions, so it's at least worth talking about. All right. Any questions? Okay. This one's not like a proxy or anything or a preview, just as you're running it and you stop it, that's the mesh. That's it right there. So you don't have to worry about it. If you do want to create a thickness on that shirt later on, then I would just go and just do the extraction method again. And it'll create basically a double layer. Turn that thickness down. And you'll see it creates a little bit of a thickness right there for you. So that'll be that will be your shirt. Okay. Tell you what, let's go and sculpt. Let's just go and sculpt this guy. Make him. All right. So basically for him, he's just got a big old baggy kind of sweater. I'm not sure why he wears a sweater if he just moved to Texas, but
Find out shortly.
I mean, it's really just more like to, you know, again, he's modeled off of a hot dog. So I guess hot dogs wear sweaters. I'm surprised he's not wearing like a puffy vest. I feel like that would be a better.
He just moved to Texas. He doesn't have much Texas.
Yeah.
That's true. It's wonderful. It's really wonderful. Oh my God, just yeah, it was not nice, was it?
No, it wasn't. I had to walk here.
Ugh. Well, give it a what, another month and a half, and then we'll be hitting spring again.
Yeah, as soon as the groundhog see its shadow, so that's like 6 more weeks of winter.
Groundhog fucking died. That's what happened. That groundhog dead.
I think there's like 2 groundhogs, so one of them died.
Oh no, we didn't know one of them died. Yeah. This is a groundhog up in New York City though?
Pennsylvania, Pittsburgh. No, not, it's in Pennsylvania. I don't remember the town, but it's in Pittsburgh, or it's in Pennsylvania.
I remember when he came to us and they made a groundhog cake for the groundhog, for groundhog day. Yeah, and like the man's like holding up this giant fur thing. See the shadow?
Yeah.
we're turning this in, we'll be- and
If you were what?
when we're turning this in as a TTL and all, would we have, if we want the dynamics to be shown, what we're presenting this, would you have to still run simulation on, or would you have to turn it on?
No, you just turn it on and off. Like when you get the shape you want, then you turn it off. So once you turn it off, that's your mesh. It's like if someone sculpted it to look dynamic. That's what it does. All right.
When we eventually get to rig this, how would that work? Like,
What?
would we have to rig the drapery flapping in the wind as well?
No. No. I mean, the only thing that's gonna get weird is if you guys have like a skirt or a dress or something, then that's gonna have to be kind of considered for rigging. But most of you guys are doing, clothing similar to what I have on here. And he's just gonna be standard. There's nothing gonna be weird to him. So unless there's nothing like hanging off of the character that's not included here, then you should be fine. All right, so I need to actually kind of bring this in and create that little cuff piece right here. So I'm gonna do that with Zmodeler. I think that actually will be a little bit easier to work with. And I'll show you how I do that. So what I'm gonna do is with Zmodeler, you'll see that I can highlight faces, vertices, and edges. And with the edge selected, I'm actually gonna right click. And I'm gonna go to, let's do extrude. And you get targets, so like you can do like a single edge, you can do an edge loop. Really, I just want to work with an edge loop. And then I get all these different modifiers and stuff, so let's take a look at these. Just need to do, pretty sure it's gonna be a regular extrude, but I want to see what the extend would do. Yeah, that'll work actually. So this is basically just the same thing as doing extrusion in Maya. So I'm gonna bring this out. And then just bring it out again. All right, so I just kind of made a little extrusion. It's just coming out, and then I'll smooth it just a little bit. And then I need to mask out part of this just because I want to kind of straighten this up just a little bit. Let's go to move brush. Right at this point, I'm just kind of trying to form that cuff shape. Let's drop back over to Zmodeler right here. I want to actually bevel this edge. Do a bevel, edge loop complete. And it'll bevel it for me. And then this little edge right here is getting really kind of wonky. Let's do a Z remesh. See if we can clean up that edge. Not quite. Let's try to do, actually, you know what? I think I'm overthinking this too much. New control shift. And I'm gonna do a knife. And I'm just gonna cut. Let's just cut that across. There we go. So that I just need like a really sharp line right across the edge. And so that does fill in this hole, which actually gives me something I can kind of work with. I'm actually going to do a extrude with this poly group. So again, extrude. Let's do poly group all. So anything that is this color is going to be extruded out. And I think that'll give me my cuff that I'm looking for. Yeah, that kind of looks like a cuff right there. But I do want this to be a shirt. So what I need to do is, because I'm going to do that extraction method that I showed you guys earlier. So I need to get rid of this poly group. I'm going to right click on it and then delete poly group all. Again, this needs to be the different color than everything else. So then that deletes really easily right there. Let's go back to subtool. Extract. Okay. And that'll give me a double thickness mesh that I can then use.
I saw like the sleeve, there was like a little hole from the last extract you did. How do you cover that up?
Where?
It's like the part that's like the dark part. It's literally up there. No, it's not there. Right there on the.
Talking about this?
Yeah.
That was just a little piece poking through.
Okay.
I think it's fine.
Okay.
Okay. So that'll give me my my sweater. So it's a little floaty right here. Do want to kind of bring it down just a little bit. Bring that down. Give it a little bit of width though, because I am going to create that little piece underneath of that shirt. Let's go and do some pants. So for the pants, it's basically going to be a similar approach. Let's take the, there we go. Basically, which is going to be pants. and just mask it off. And then we'll do our extraction again. Accept that. I'll just smooth this out. And in the shoe region, there we go. We'll go ahead and cut that out too. And actually, with the shoes, I'm not necessarily going to be making them an extraction, but what I can do is basically just cut off the not necessarily cut off the feet, but make a duplicate of the feet and create the shoes from there. So maxing off the bottom of the legs, I'm going to actually duplicate the body and then split. Are we not? All right, let's delete the lower, and I should be able to split mask points. There we go. Let's do a split masked. I said that's going to give me my little shoe shapes, my little feet I'm going to work with. This body right here, I don't need this. So let's go ahead and delete. The shoes, I'm going to Dynamesh them. That'll close in that hole. I'm going to do a knife and basically just cut the top right there. I'll cut them flat. And then I'm going to knife the bottom. So I'll get flat feet. We'll run into an issue though, where basically the shoes are going to be the same size as the feet. And you'll see that the bottom of the feet are just kind of sticking out. So I'll need to take the move brush. Just move it. I mean, I could either expand out the shoes using the inflate, or I could just shove the feet into the shoes and make them a little smaller. Honestly, whatever works for you guys.
I mean, you have this extracted.
Yeah, yes. However, I'm not interested in the interior geometry at this point. The reason why we did the extraction for like the pants and the shirt is that there's a possibility we could do a dynamic simulation in the future. If we rate this thing, we could actually make the pants sag and all of that. Shoes are not usually going to be included with dynamic simulations. So this is just going to be a solid piece of mesh. So just different approach. Okay. All right, let's do another Dynamesh just to kind of unify everything over here. And then we can sculpt on details for the shoes. Does he actually have any? I see soles, so he's got some soles on his shoes. So a couple ways we can handle the soles. One is we could do a Zmodeler extraction or not extraction, an extrude to basically pull down this extra poly group that we have here. That could look good, but I think honestly doing a IMM primitives with a cylinder, I think would actually look a little bit better. So I'm going to take this cylinder and I'm going to extrude it onto the foot. Now he's got moon boots. And then we'll just take them to the front. Just shove them up just a little bit. And this is going to be kind of just basically just a separate piece that'll act as the sole of the shoe. And then extrude that back. So something like that. I don't actually want to Dynamesh this in. I'm going to split it. Do split two parts. Actually, no. Do split on mass points or mass points. Let's back up. There we go. I want to isolate this one. So let's do move, control, click. So that'll isolate this with a mouse. And then we should be able to go to split on mass points. And we'll get our soles right there. All right, that'll work. All right. Now I can actually Dynamesh them. I think I'd like to have a little bit more resolution in them. There we go. That looks better. All right, it's a little thick up here. So let's take move brush and just move them in just a little bit.
So the soles are a separate subtool.
Yeah, I'm making a separate subtool because I can keep their shapes a little bit better here versus trying to sculpt them into the bottom. So I can always go back and Dynamesh them in if I need to, but just like right now, I kind of want to make them separate because they're really well defined right here. And if we look at the artwork, it's very clear that there's like a straight piece that's the sole on the bottom of the shoe. So that's what I'm trying to achieve right there. I don't really see any other detail. It looks like the toe. Probably bumps up a little bit, kind of just in like a generic animated style. So we can take a move brush and do that. I'm gonna actually mask off the bottom of the foot. Reason why is I kind of want that bottom of the foot just to stay in one place. So we'll take this. Actually, let's mask off the back of the foot too, since I really just want to mess with the bottom or mess with the toe. All right. Let's take a look at everything here. It's looking pretty good. I like what we got. Where's the eyebrows? There they are. That's not bad at all. All right. Any questions at this point? Okay. All right, I'm gonna come around, check on you guys, take a look at your progress and see how you're doing. The rest of class will be work day, and then we'll pick up with this on Wednesday. All right. Okay.
belong. Like, does it change its? Oh, yeah, yeah. It's what,
What we doing? Oh, decent. It's the highs and lows. Portion, so nice. Any issues running into? Nope. No. It's pretty good so far. Okay. Yeah, we'll think you're on the right track. Well, thank you. How are you doing? So we need you past the ZSpheres stage. That's what you're in right now. You're past it? No, I need you past this. I need you sculpting at this point. So I need you to get past it. So hands, remember what I talked about last week? Hands need to be facing down. So as you're making your hands, we'll say you're doing it this way. It needs to be facing down. I would not obsess too much over the ZSpheres. It's just it is supposed to be a rapid way of creating a mesh. That's all it is. It's just supposed to be fast. What issues are you running into? What you running into right now?
I just made a little better sketch.
Uh-huh.
Of my partner.
It does look better. Does look better. So, any issues with ZBrush you're running into right now? To get past this and get it sculpting, okay? So, well, so what?
Like you said, don't adjust too much.
Yeah, don't assess too much, just get it into a polygon model so you can sculpt on it, okay? So get those papers in there and then switch it over. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I had to do some of my own because something had went completely wrong when I had done the figures.
Okay.
So I guess I had ended up making too many. I guess when I was looking to make like circles with the fingers, yeah, too many, and then it was just getting confused on which ones I was going to click on. But I just really leave those like things like not doing it because I had no idea what was going on at that point. But after that.
I'm looking at your hips, they look really wide in there. Like, there's a lot of space in between hip bones. Oh, yeah, okay, that's a problem. It looks like you probably have ZSpheres sitting on top of each other, right at the shoulders. So I would move them out and see what's going on there. Yeah, it is. Something else. Okay. It's the way it's punching right there is concerned. That's why I wonder. That all for me. Control. That's tiny little one. That's it. That's it.
Okay. Oh, draw.
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Yes, here. Are you going to?
Oh, we're just kind of make it more angular. Going back to that. Because it's like the whole style of like picture is just one.
You have any preference of the show? Just do a little Google search. Probably on the graph. Okay, yes, yeah, that's already. Okay, I found this. Just go back up to the top one. Yeah, so we had this discussion last week. Okay, so that one you submitted earlier. We should go with that. All right, so we're trying to make this more angular. Go back to sincere stalls.
I like the basic logic. I feel like this is more sort of.
I mean, with the.
Oh, this
the sheet, For the feet. I'm gonna keep it trim. That one, put right there, the bottom part, and now take a look at it like this. That's with the chest area. I polish that they were all basically I'll leave a tension right there. Basically, there's just name standard grade. Yeah, it's gonna be.
Or should I like try to read it?
I mean, you were talking about there were no squares.
Yeah, I can, I could, I don't know if I could like, make up figures, because it's like, real code, like some areas. Like, they're observed.
Is they consistent with squares? When we click, I'm not sure what they're rating on some of these.
Yeah, sure, like, I have curves, but it's like, just if they wanna like.
Yeah, they're simplifying the curve of the. It to me, it reminds me a little bit like Powerpuff Girls. Expert, which is super angular on them. Yeah, honestly, I'll probably just do it. Take the spheres that are, take the big cat, which takes a few, so I want to just stick it on top. And just like a general shape. Then you can use the get that piece that they have. So when their hands are out flat like this, they're actually like taking away slightly. You're almost like suggesting the shape of it. I haven't tried that maybe a lot. It does look pretty good. Square shape as well. Any issues running into it otherwise?
Well, okay, I was thinking. Let me give it more like.
Let me see, let's go back to the pictures. Yeah, there's definitely. Like what of them? It will keep. Purple. Going down. Place polishes on, and just keep trying to achieve that.
Yeah.
So.
I was whenever I think the way to this part, that they're about.
Yeah. I mean, really, I guess. Yeah, her style is stylized. It's, let's be honest, it's great. So. Yeah, honestly, I think.
You probably want, sketches there. Her hair is kind of more back, there's fancy. But like it's still curves out.
Wait a minute. They have a character named Nancy.
This is
And a
fancy.
character named Stancy.
Yeah, Fancy and Stalky, their devil opposites are Scanty and Leasock. So this is Scanty and the max Leasock.
Wow.
But see, I don't know. Oh, whatever. I thought it first, but it was the next one. I was thinking more just so. Not like open curves and everything, or the. Yeah.
This is like a really weird version of like.
It's more like. how it is, talking about the book, either reference. That's what it is.
That's an interesting, that is an interesting civil law. I have, this DGS says more for like, you do have a lot of fun with. Standard. index, So that is. How we doing? Cool. Looks like an interior mount. That's good.
And I did the balloon. So I got the.
With the lips, I would increase them a little bit more. Actually, let me see a picture. Let's look at the source material here.
I do it all the time with driving.
Okay,
Go back.
yeah, I would pinch them a little bit more and then curve them up at the corners.
Okay.
Let me see the whole body.
Base your body off of summer.
I know it's not. Yeah, no, that was good. Cool. Any issues you want to get into?
Does the nose look better? Cause like from here it looks fine, but like from the front it looks a little weird.
I think it's the eye placements throwing me a little bit. They look really far apart. So let's look at, go back to the picture. Let's just look at the picture again.
Well, your eyes I just saw the summer. Like,
Yeah, the summer's eyes aren't that far.
maybe not.
And it could be just the face that goes a little too deep. Flatten out that forehead, which is why we're getting so much space in between your eyes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, her eyes are really closer together. They're like perfect spheres.
Okay.
So actually look at the overall shape of Summer's head. It's a lot more wonky.
Yeah.
Whereas the one that you're sculpting is much more of a beach ball.
Right.
So try to pull that portion in there.
Okay.
So like Morty, his is a beach ball.
Right.
Summers is not, I don't think Jessica's is.
Okay. All right.
Any other issues?
Yeah. Not that. So far, so good, I guess.
How are you doing?
They don't have lips,
Nope, they don't.
so I
They
just,
don't have to do lips. Congratulations.
do I just have to do like that? Or should I cover
Yeah,
it?
pretty much.
Okay.
You can do a slight like bulge around there if you want to do some sort of amplification.
Yeah, I
But
feel like that's just.
yeah, no, that's looking good. Looks like the nose, I probably would widen it just a little bit rounder.
Okay, yeah, I
Looks-
was working
looks
on the
like
nose.
inch.
Yeah.
Make the body underneath the breasts a little bit more uniform width, because she's basically a tube from like
Yeah,
her mid rib cage down.
yeah, she's just a board.
Yeah, pretty much. The arms, I would thin them out a little bit because the legs are really thin. They should be about the same. Actually, you know what? I would pick it up the legs. Those legs are
I don't know why they're
very
chicken
thin. Well, it doesn't matter. They're fine now. You need to let them pick it out. Is it
like this way.
inflate? Yeah, just all around it need to be bigger.
Okay.
Any other issues?
No, that's it. I think this, like, after all the stuff we've done, this one's like going to be idiots, I guess.
Good.
So, yeah, I like to see ZSpheres better.
ZSpheres are good
So
to
much
use.
easier. Why don't we just-
Because I wanted to show you guys multiple ways of doing things.
What's that one?
Because I don't want you guys to get
Oh,
the
right.
mindset like there's only one way to do such and such. That's why with the eyebrows, we talk about different ways of doing them. There's a million ways to do those, right? So there's a million ways to do this. All right. How are we doing? And what's the stuff?
My wife has a team.
Oh, right, okay. Well, in between like Dexter and like Dexter's Laboratory and Astro Boy.
Pretty much.
Like the eyes are very like Astro Boy. Okay, okay.
I still have that feeling that the ones that they had. I just want to sit there and look at this.
Yeah. Who's your partner again?
Like this is the, yeah.
Okay, so let's see what you got. I think you could follow along with the style, maybe just a little bit more. Maybe pinch the ankles a little bit in profile. Maybe some of the wrist. I like what you got so far here. This is looking really nice. Really, really nice. Cool. Any issues around this?
Other like I merged the. I like merged the. Belief. Like.
So,
It's like something.
okay, well, for step by step, watch some videos that they cover it, but remember, you gotta turn all this off so we don't delve into the head. Gotta do it clean. So Sonia, there's something that it doesn't like. Generally, when it gives me that error message, I will go ahead and just click over here. So there's no order. So probably what I would do is go over here to your main mesh, run a Dynamesh real quick, hit that real quick for me. I just don't see the whole thing. Maybe because of that, release your mouse. Release the mouse. Just when you want to release mouse, control swipe over here. I will release it. Run a Dynamesh real quick for me. Geometry. And then let's go to the eye subtool that you were using to cut. Okay, run Dynamesh on that as well. Okay. Send out. All right. Good. Good. That's good. So go ahead and run the, should I run the balloon again? Let's go up here. Let's figure out which one of these. I think it's probably this one. Looks good. Go back to your main C tool, pen, and that one. And this one. Yes, like. So that's the new subtool. Turn off the subtool. Now turn off your eyes too. There you go. Your first bedroom. So we'll write.
Just the side.
Let me see the hand on the side. So there's a bump right here. I'll bring that down. That area right there. There's the your profile. It's in the middle picture, then it's kind of usually, and it does a little bit too long, like a full second longer. I would shorten it a bit. Just because it's a bit too long. Yeah, they're weird. They're weird. I like where you're going with it. I think overall the shape is pretty good. I would take the thumb, drop that at 45 degrees. So the hand will relax with that thumb, and I'd separate it away from the rest of the hand. And just bend it down. So, yeah, it's a little bit. So the way I would handle that is massing off the thumb by itself. Invert that mass, grab it with the tool. Smooth all that out. Sure, answer. Looks like it's on form. And probably the nose. Probably the tension just a little bit more top, I think. At least with the way they're going to design it, those noses lift it up more. Tension, so. But otherwise, the form itself is pretty good. You didn't see the video?
I'm sorry.
Actually, to be honest with you, I wasn't aware of that. So, yeah, you're not, I usually, I'm usually just trying to grab it from That's good to know, so.
Yeah,
That's
okay,
good.
I'll forget that.
Yes.
So,
Need to brush those? That brush is really, and can help or hurt you if you're not careful. How do you like the surface? This is good. How do you surface too when they first came out? That was not very good for- it's also different than they come to. Yeah, portions pretty good here. I would go that it was not worth it. What you got with it, basically. To do what I did for the line field, ZSpheres, top that. Just not like, half a little bit differently sized, so the bottom's a little bit different than the top. Just, draw. I'll go ahead and try this.
Oh, you know. Mine is more than.
That was good. That's not for you. Good to make it that skin. It's gonna be so long. That's it. Good. I'll go. Pretty good. It's a computer. Okay, this is, the garden wall, right? Yep. Well, it took 4 students to do over the garden wall style. I can't remember what that show's called. All right. These little things that are on the bottom. There's some weird cheats. Okay. Because most characters in the show have like some sort of like makeup. You're just doing that as a sculptor. Okay, that works. Roll around, which is gonna take a look at the whole thing. Are you still gonna do the long skirt or long dress? Yeah. Okay. I would honestly, I wouldn't even worry about long or about the sculpted legs and abs and all that. We're not really gonna see them so much. They're gonna cover back dress. So style wise, I think if I remember correctly, like they're all pretty thin without fitting now. So I think just keeping with that style, keeping those legs fairly thin. I was, like I said, I wouldn't really worry about them too much. Yeah, because I was worried about this bottom part right here, where there's just two spheres on top of each other. They're like having to sculpt that in. But since that does, it's a very simplistic style. So I think with where you're going to spend a lot of your time is going to make those clothes. Yeah, so I would definitely spend on that area. Yeah, one looks good. Any issues when you're writing it? Okay. So yeah, a couple big spheres there. So I like it from the front, it's just not a little weird on the back.
We're out and then the front.
So what are you gonna do for the back of it there?
It's like maybe here.
So I'm thinking of just grouping all the spheres together, telling this, maybe about making like.
Yeah, I think so.
Who's your
Yeah, 'cause
partner?
it looks like you're sprinkling this from
So whoever she is, she's not here, but
maybe.
she's usually at the front.
I don't know how you can. It looks like just your spring grows in the middle.
She kind of has like long hair, right? Yeah. Okay. So I would probably do, I was talking about plain, take that plain and like basically like shape it. You could do like a hair shape of that. And then do a structure. That would be a thickness, but it's consistent thickness. Oh, like it. Yeah, kind of like a nice. Okay. That could be a real easy way to get that hair shape. That's good. Thank you.
Balloon app again, like the make balloon mesh thing.
That's not cool.
There we go. I really want a journey, but
Well, I've already looked in
came in there with the save.
No, it's just, see, it's not acceptable.
It is.
I'm looking at it. I don't
So
know.
go look down the road, it's like bottom halfway.
I'm looking at it literally right here, it's not there.
The only reason why it wouldn't be there is if you didn't have the meshes on poly.
But it was there like before, is what I'm saying. I had it before, it's not now.
Well, I still gotta talk to these two, so go on a spiritual journey, maybe it'll reveal itself to you.
Okay.
And I'll come to you in the
Alright.
darkest hour.
Oh, of course.
Just working on the construction of the body.
Okay. Looks good. My only issue right now are those hands.
I know.
It's looking like, it looks like they're like, like when you're in middle school and then your best friend goes, and then you like, and you like punch the hell out of you. That's kind of what it's. that's what-
Yeah, I noticed that, I was like, oh wait, as soon as I finished it.
Yeah. So take the fingers and you need to relax, but like, not like that, probably something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the only issue that I'm thinking of right now is like making that hair. Because I know I'm gonna sculpt it out and form that shape later, but I just don't know how I want to go around it. Like how I want to do it. Like, do I want it to be like one sphere or do I want it to be like multiple spheres? Like a C shape like
Extraction, and then maybe adding in some curved tubes with like a thin edge on the end of one of them. We draw it out.
so we're going back to the purples.
There's multiple ways of accommodating this.
Yeah, and then also like the side view too, so that's what I was thinking. Shape is just a
You
different.
could do, yeah, the sphere for that backbone would probably work well too.
Maybe better to make it multiple spheres.
Likely. Yeah, likely. I mean, I'd say it should be all in on purpose.
It's like they got like really skinny legs, so like when you just start doing up some torso, the females that kind of got like that hourglass shape.
What's that style again?
Hourglass. Just like kind of,
Right.
can't see it, but like they kind of have like that almost hourglass house.
I mean, yeah, I mean, these don't look like very old. These look like children, to be honest, so like, you're not gonna see like an hourglass shape, because that's like a mature thing, but. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if anything, just like the thighs and my character, like the widest part of the body. Go back to your sculpt. So you could bring the hips up just a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, I would take the legs. You got them about at 45 degrees right now. I would look at like shoulder width.
Like somewhere.
Yeah, so like a more natural standing pose.
You didn't just do better, just use it as a tool, or you recommend something else?
I would mask basically at the hip down to the groin
And then rotate.
and then everything down to the foot and then just rotate it down exactly. That would work. There's also a slight lift on the sag of the arm. So you see where like the arm is kind of sagging down to the little bit. Look at the sculpt. I mean, lift that up a little bit more.
Right here,
Yeah. So I mean, you're gonna be sagging anyways with that. I'm sure it really doesn't matter. How you doing? Oh, that looks nice. Nice. Any issues running into it? Make sure the hair is just with some tool. Pretty good. Then we'll take a phone. So, oh, I like that. Yeah, so you can separate them out. So easy way to do it. Mask out the hair, mask out the body. And just do a split with the back part. You're gonna have basically, you know, gaping hole. So you'll just do a close hole. Yeah. And you could do a Dynamesh. You can, I would paint the mask on the forehead. You could do like Dynamesh like a sphere or something for like the rest of the head, so it still have that volume. Let's go. No, just do a split. Just go to some tool split with mask on it. So let's take a look at the two new sub tools now. So if you turn off the hair. Let's see what we're talking about. Go to your body. Go to the body sub tool. Yeah, this is it. So if we just go under geometry, close holes, modify close holes. I have to look forward to it every time I do it. All right, so you see basically we lost like the back half of the head. So I would take a sphere and go in there and just drop the sphere into it. But we just need to build out that back then. It's a snowball now. See, it doesn't fit perfectly, but I was just looking for like the toothbrush or something. Just kind of a sculpt it to fit the shape better. It's like going into like sockets. So pull that in, match it a little bit better at the back of the head. You know, just push yourself into this way, you're not losing. Also, make sure you do your well. Yeah, you go ahead. Yep. It's great. You know. You're in a good place. Did you find it?
Not really, it's very hard to be effective, because I was cutting off hair to like do the thing. And then And then I tried to do what you said, to make poly mesh, whatever, and it got me back.
Right.
And that, the belief is that there. But
So what that leads me to believe is that the other one, this was never made poly mesh. So you get pretty far with that actually making poly mesh, but so what I would do is I would go to here, actually, yeah, so since this one is actually made poly mesh, I would go back to here, and we're gonna do basically carrying over the tools that you don't carry over. So with your eyeballs, you would select those. You haven't cut the eyeballs yet.
I know I have, it's. Yeah, these.
But you haven't actually done the full though.
Oh, I think that's what I was doing, but I don't.
Well, that's what you were trying to do, but you couldn't find it.
Okay, but like the belief there for that, for the eyes. Yeah, it's just the body that the balloon is there.
Right, I mean, that's the top ones. So actually, here, click the little arrow right here.
Right.
Yeah, okay. Okay, there it is.
Oh my God, what was that? What happened?
Turn the arrow off. So that,
I need to look at that topic. That might look funky.
yeah, it should be there the whole time. Okay, proceed. What's up? Carlos, what's up?
When I go to adaptive skin,
Yeah.
it says creating a 3D mesh from a currently selected tool. When scaling modifiers will produce a mesh with zero number and vertices and polygons. Select a different tool. And or scaling modifiers.
All right, let's go. Turn preview off. Okay, let's try again. Let's see what there says. There's zero number of vertices. Okay, I think probably what it is you have some spheres shoved right up his butt right here, which is part of the problem. Also, look at his hands. Dude, his thumb is longer than all of his fingers. Is your thumb longer than all of your fingers? No. Okay. Let me just make that shoulder. Also, the shape of the hand needs some help. That is, I would bring those knuckles a little bit more forward. And I bring that thumb, I'll leave the thumb where it is, but I will shorten it. The knuckles, okay, your knuckle for your thumb is here. Your knuckle for your fingers is here. So I bring them forward right here.
Like I take this.
Yeah, you're good. You got it. You're doing it. Yep, you're just moving that forward. And then, yeah, let me show you something real quick. Take your pen up. So at the bottom, you can actually use that to call this out, which you have. You got way too many columns here, buddy. Hold on. Let's get rid of some of these. That is more what we need. The reason why you get that error message is because you're having these Z-spheres shoved inside of other Z-spheres. And basically it's creating weights and stuff inside of it, and it doesn't like that. Does not like it.
That's not like it when I show other Z-spheres into the.
Now, would you like it if I shove Z-spheres inside of you?
No.
Okay, well then, ZBrush isn't like that either. It's on here, pull down, control for all. Let go. Alright, hold. Yep. Alright, how many joints do you have in your thumb? Joints.
One joint.
One more joint, 2 joints. This is an articulation point, that's an articulation point, so these are 2 joints. So you have 1, you have 1 here, 2, 3, 4, 5. We don't need that many, so let's get rid of some. So hold down, Alt, delete. Move. Just simplify that, or just simplify this. See? So now we have. How many joints do you have in your finger? Articulation points. Just one finger. Great. Okay. Yep. We did 1, 2, 3. We got that. We just need to make sure that like all of these are. All right, dips. We got.
Yeah, it's just that was the part that I was.
Be honest, I'm not sure how we got here. Let's do, hold that all for me.
This.
Play with these spheres.
Watch videos up on social 24/7.
You watch videos 24/7. I doubt that. How many videos did you watch? You watch 24?
Like I replay the stuff how I
Okay, that's better. So another issue is probably going to happen. Yes, you see the neck? Yes. All right, hold down all for me. There we go. See how when I move Z-spheres, that's invisible. That's a marker. Let's try. It's not giving us the error. I think it's happier. Okay. Skin. Right here. Skin. Scroll around. Pick that one, everyone.
Those been there since a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I'll go just take those two out.
I want to.
All right, what time is it? It is not. You say 7:45? 10:45. Oh, it's 11:45. Oh, shit. I said 8. All right, guys. I'm gonna work on stuff for next class to make sure you work on this out of class. Work some more stuff.
Will you be able to go over to like how to do like eyelashes and stuff?
My character doesn't have eyelashes, so.
What about our characters that do?
What about eyelids?
Sure. Yes, we'll talk about. We'll deal with that next class.
Lee, I was hoping you wouldn't look up.
I saw Candy fly, and I got scared.
Yeah.
I gave
Alright.
one,
What?
she got one, didn't
College students.
I gave her one.
I threw one at you.
I gave it to her, and then you threw the one for her, went to him.
Again.
You're a horrible aim, is what you're trying to say.
What? Tasha, I don't want to hit you in the head. See, the thing is though, is my aim sucks starting out. So by the time I get to Mark, right, I'm liable to hit you in the middle of the eyes. Alright. Close enough.
He tried to use one hand.
Watch it bounce off and hit your computer.
Just like crashing my entire computer, it's awesome.
Oh!
I did.
I didn't remember if I gave you something.
I'm pretty sure that was considered, right?
Alright guys, get your stuff wrapped up and out of here, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday, alright?
I'm still on the thing.